really quickly and go through them, and then I'll get back to some cases. Fostering alternative systems of organization create competition in markets. We kind of forget that basic point, right? You foster these alternative systems of enterprise. Competition may temper predatory predatory behavior, and risk-taking excess among financial institutions under investor-owned for-profit financial corporations. Probably less intuitive. Promoting these kinds of systems, promoting cooperative, mutual, local state-owned ownership can help make and upgrade markets. Typically, a lot of these cooperatives, mutual, state-owned enterprises are frequently, or almost inevitably, organized by certain groups as mechanisms of collective self-supply, to supply themselves with critical infrastructural resources that they can't get through the market or through corporations. So as you get these kinds of things online, they're essentially expanding provision to underserved groups and areas and regions and communities, and they can seed financial market development. There's lots of case studies, lots of historical studies of historical instances of using cooperatives and mutuals or local state-owned enterprises, not just in finance, but across a variety of sectors, to create and expand markets. And once the cooperatives or mutuals or local state-owned firms do things, they serve you seed for-profit market development. And we'll come back to that. I'll give you an example of that. At the same time, relational contracting in finance and the unification of consumption or production with ownership and these other alternative forms really shifts the relationships among stakeholders and creates new incentives within firms, making possible or inducing investments in service or investments in asset kinds of production, capital formation that wouldn't otherwise occur. And when you get a number of firms working this line in a market, it actually can kind of shift the dynamics of competition productively in some productive ways. So you can make and upgrade financial markets. The third thing these things can do is create decentralized circuits of capital. Now, I am not advocating a complete return to the pre-modern bucolic image of the past. But the idea, if there's too much system complexity, too much system centralization, by creating decentralized circuits of capital, by creating useful redundancies, is a point I want to push, in financial markets, you create possibilities to buffer small businesses and local economies from volatility, economic and financial crisis. And you also may potentially reduce the level of systemic risk or network fragility in markets. And I think that's kind of useful. I can talk a little bit about that. The stratification inequality side of this, by doing all of this, these are organizational vehicles that serve what Christopher Hill, a famous historian of early modern England, called the middling sorts. These ecologies of these systems tend to foster small-scale capitalism, small businesses, small middle classes, small farms. And we talk a fair bit about that, and make possible more regionally balanced, decentralized development. And that's kind of the social stratification point. So there's an inequality point, and what might be interesting and most interesting and helpful to people here is promoting these alternative organizational forms, promoting organizational diversity, can be coupled or combined with standard regulatory measures, whichever standard regulatory or more modern contemporary regulatory strategies you want to do, enhancing capacities for intervention, perhaps avoiding some of the need to build administrative apparatuses that do direct administration, rule, regulations, and with fewer risks of capture. So making a bunch of promises here. There's a paper, there's a Seattle Law Review paper that kind of lays out the general strategy, and the paper here will be available at some point, hopefully in March for the cases here. 5 minutes. Okay, so I've done this. This is in part the view from Portland. That's where I teach, but it's not the view from Portland. These are just. I'm not going to spend time here as I can. These are